In this next step, we're going to take what we applied from the last practice with facial features and incorporate them into a final practice before starting your portraits. So in this practice, there's two different sections, and we're going to be using two different techniques in each section just to further decide what materials you like working with and what style is going to be the best fit for your final portrait. And then just to continue putting everything together, incorporating value change, contrast, having areas that are dark and areas that are light. So in this first section, we're going to be working with parallel hatching. Use any material that you would like to try out or continue with. So think back to the facial feature practice if you want to try colored pencil, stick with pen, or try something different out. So be creative with what you want to use for your materials. Starting out in this section, I'm just shading in the darkest areas first. So going over all of the areas in the hair here, looking at the reference picture the entire time that are the darkest, and I'm filling these in looking at the contour of the line as well. So I'm obviously following my lines along the shape and the direction that the hair would naturally take. With the parallel hatching, the lines are not overlapping, so I'm keeping them spaced out, but I am going over my lines a few times to make them darker in these darkest sections. And as I'm filling this in, I'm changing up my lines, going the opposite way. So think about cross hatching, how your lines are going in two separate directions, but now I'm just kind of spacing those directions out. Looking at my reference picture, there are some areas in the hair that are a lot lighter, such as that section that I just filled in. And you can see in that really light highlight area of the hair that I really spaced those lines out and used a really light pressure with my pen. So now I went in, I filled in the eyebrows. When you fill in the eyebrows, look at the direction that you're adding your line with your cross contour, so trying to follow the direction of the contour of the face. And then also with the eye, I just kind of outlined things. I made sure to leave that highlight in the eye, and I'm going around filling in, focused on the value change the rest of the face. So remember, I'm not just filling in facial features, but I'm filling in the entire face with value change. Sometimes if you squint your eyes while you're looking at your reference picture, it helps to have the contrast emphasized, or it will stand out a little bit more to you to see what areas are light and what areas are dark. On the forehead here, it's a really light section, so I'm spacing those lines really far apart. Around the outside of the face, it's generally darker, so I made my lines closer together, making them darker by the pressure, the amount of pressure that I'm putting down with my pen. And then especially around the outside of the nose, I'm not outlining things, I'm not outlining the entire nose, but I'm trying to focus on just filling in those shadows and leaving the highlights light, and that's what's going to really create a great amount of contrast. As far as the background goes, be creative. Think about your final project. What are you going to want to fill in your background with? And maybe try out some different techniques for that. But one way is just to continue with your hatching marks. So I went ahead and continued with the same parallel hatching technique for this. But again, be creative with the material that you're choosing. Think about the placement of your lines in order to emphasize form, and then really showing value change. So you should see areas that are dark, medium toned, and light highlight areas. So even leaving some sections such as the forehead, parts of the cheek, the middle of the nose, completely white.